Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Pro League. It's the last game of the night, just around the corner, and many G2 fans are hoping for a bit of a resurgence. I'm here with Yanko and Pansy. And Yanko, sometimes when you look out the window with a glass of whiskey over your kingdom, you think about CS, and you have actually had a bit of time to just, I guess, deliberate personally about G2 and Dust2, which is going to be our next map here.
Yeah, they're a really interesting team on Dust2. I mean, I think that's their best map. And the reason for it is they're really good at changing the pace. You know, they have this style where they can play out of a default. They have a really good execute towards the A bomb site where they would, you know, throw a couple of smokes and molotovs. Shox throws a smoke from long, which cuts off the position where, you know, Smith usually stands on the CT side, or Cajun B in his time in Astralis is that passive position towards the bomb site. But they also have some really explosive plays, right, where Shox would maybe try to go out mid by himself, create a lot of noise, and as soon as he makes contact, the rest of his team explodes onto the B bomb site. So that really makes it hard for their opponents to, you know, get a read on them, what they're exactly going to go for pretty much, and it's what makes them super dangerous on that map.
Of course, on the other side of the card is Mousesports, who have for a long time been known to be fans of Dust2. Lauren, we've seen them in fact going head-to-head with Fnatic last season with some interesting results. And of course, we all remember their last outing against G2 as well. It was a 16-1, obviously under some different conditions. And Dennis, the man you never expect to really be coming out of the gates, had an incredible and career-defining performance on that map here. But what are our takeaways here about Mousesports on Dust2 and generally how they play it out?
The thing is, I still have to break this match up into two sides because I'd love to take it as an overall factor, you know, just take into account everything and apply it across, but it's such a night and day. So Mouse, I think, is starting on CT and G2 will be on the T side. So the fact is that they're going to have to deal with that incredible pace and the switch of that pace that comes in from G2. G2 can be an incredibly aggressive team. They can have that nice execute. They have a bit of everything coming out of there. So, well, how do Mousesports respond? Well, these days, they've got a great deal to respond with. They have an incredibly diligent double-AWP play in the fact of if Nico wants to pick it up on occasion, probably not nowadays, but you've got Chris J now and Oscar. Oscar already having a big performance today. So that could be quite interesting to watch the dynamic. Retakes could be just as strong. As long as they can lock down everything else, it's going to be a fun game to watch. But then you switch the coin, you switch everything around. It's like, well, once Mousesports get on the T side, how did G2 actually deal with it? Because at the moment, let's be honest, G2 don't have Smiths as a card to be played. And you can play Dust2 in quite a nice passive nature for them. For me personally, I think it can work quite well. You can hold crosses, you can fall back off A long. It's one of their defining maps where you could see it actually happening. If he's removed, this opens up so many opportunities for Mousesports to exploit it. So again, I feel that this map is very much two-sided. If G2 can do enough damage on the first half to get enough of a scoreline to just kind of coast through their second half on CT, then you might have a competitive game. If they don't, it's going to be a blowout.
And Yanko, you told us a lot, well, at least just previously, about the T side here for G2. But as a whole, let's talk about the win conditions on this map for G2 as well. Maybe things that they can rectify from previous experiences and performances, or Dust2 specific stuff, especially when it comes to the CT side, that you want to see from them here.
Yeah, I think more than anything else, they need to step it up on the CT side. I think they're going to have a good T half, no matter what. A good condition for them is also seeing how they like to go for mid to be split. That now Chris has moved towards the B bomb side. And, you know, seeing how he's struggling, his new role, maybe that's something they can exploit. But for G2 CT side, preferably they would win the pistol round, and then they can go for some aggression. Shox loves to go, you know, either lower B or maybe push him in towards top mid when he knows the terrorists don't have enough money for an AWP, so they can't spot that per se. And I think more than anything else, they need to start off well so they get their confidence. Right now, I think it's gotten into their heads that they can't seem to get the CT rounds on any map.
Yeah, it's almost been like a general problem, not even a map-specific one.
No, but because the irony for me was originally this kind of roster, at least some form, it was incredibly good on their CT sides. You know, when Existence was, you know, in a roster similar to this, he was one of the pioneers of how to play this map to an incredibly high level with, you know, that really brilliant aggression that came through. And, you know, other teams were doing it, but not as well, not on Dust2 to the extent they were winning it on, how they're playing the mid control. You had a lot there as well. And Shox, you know, on his T side, having those incredible lurking moments. You know, you see that individual power coming in with the aim side of things. There's a lot that they can pull off. You know, this is such a great map for them, but it's, again, you have to see what side they begin on. How do they get off to a good start? Winning that pistol is that step they need to take because they got absolutely destroyed by Nico individually before.
I think it would be a good thing for them to try and switch things up a little bit, because I know without a doubt that, you know, Kassad is going to do his homework when it comes to G2. Definitely. He is going to study them, see what are their, you know, most common setups, and he is going to come up with a plan how to play against that, right? And right now, now Mouse has the liberty of going mostly for anti-strat, since they didn't have that much time to practice all of the maps, to devise, you know, a unique play style for them yet, I feel like. So definitely going to be interesting to see how G2 approaches this one.
I've always wondered how much G2 put into anti-stratting other teams, because they don't ever seem the team to be necessarily doing that. I know that sounds like I'm calling them arrogant, or I think it's not that. It's more just how they play. They don't really seem to adjust according to their opponent as much as maybe others do, or how they approach it.
And they're one of the few teams that doesn't have a coach or an analyst or anything of the sort. They have Niak, who's more there as a manager. I don't think that he does anything related to in-game stuff, pretty much. So maybe that's where, you know, Smith chimes in as well.
Oh, hopefully he finds some sort of purpose in this one, because on the first map he was useless, let's be honest.
Yeah, especially when it really counted there when we went over towards the CT side. But that about puts a bow on this one for you guys, and we are pretty much ready to jump into game, or at least have a little bit of a chat with Henry and Sadie, because I'm sure they've got a few things to say as well on this map, and even just on the performance off the back of that one here as well. So they've already got their mics on, as you can hear.
Hi, Henry.
Let's throw it over to the lads on the desk and take us into this last game.
Matt always has something to say.
Oddly enough, I don't, Yanko. I just don't want to talk to you anymore. Interesting thing, though, Lauren, are they still live? You just say conversation. This would entail that we are a back and forth dialogue? I guess not.
Can you hear us?
No, we don't.
No.
Point I was going to make is Lauren's already kind of written off, you know, Smith saying he's not a card you can play. If there is a map that he can salvage some pride on, it's Dust2. Now it's the mental game. Can he get back into it fast enough to do anything with Mousesports here?
I hope so. From that performance, I'd say definitely not. Definitely not.
Well,
but yeah.
I tried to be positive, guys. I gave him a chance.
But yeah, Dust2, you're right. That's where he's famed for having good performances. Never like anything crazy, but he can hold his own with the AWP. But the thing is, like, I think a lot of people know how he plays now. It's quite easy to shut the AWPers down. We see a lot of AWPers struggling towards that area where he's so good at, towards that car area. It's, you know, a ramp car. It seems almost a redundant position now. It seems like every team wants to get short control. They have that execution with the two smokes. With G2, use very commonly themselves. Almost every team is using that right now to shut down these big AWPers that can actually be very impactful in those positions. So the kind of counter to that as an AWPer needs to be like pushing towards short. He needs to be going towards long. First
I want to see short push more commonly. We mentioned it the other night. Just doing it once or twice, it gets in the head of the T's, and they have to slow up. They have to check it more carefully, and then they might have to even expend some utility just trying to push the CT player back in that position, which means they've got less for the execution.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. But yeah, it was G2 once again. I think the guys on the desk covered it tremendously. The CT
They're
half,
good, them.
The CT half just eluding G2 once again. He couldn't get anything wrong in one round after winning 10-5 in the first. That's pretty shocking. They've done similar things on Dust2 as well. They're famously against Navi, they got 11-4 on their T half, and on the T side actually lost the game 16-14. So still has a lot of potential for that to happen. Mousesports still very good on Dust2, especially the likes of Nico is one of the maps he can luck very well on. He can go towards long by himself and hold in those doors and wait for players' teammates to do stuff. And we've cast him a couple of times recently. I'm not a big fan of their play style, as it seems very reliant on just him having huge impact, right? Like he's just walking out mid doors by himself, and there's 4 players in upper B, and he'll, unless he gets a kill, it looks like the teammates are a little bit lost and they're so committed they haven't got anything else to work with.
I was kind of hoping bringing in Oscar to that would kind of...
Well, now he's actually fully AWPing. Maybe that will start to sort itself out. Like before, I think when we casted him, I think Chris J still was. So...
Yeah, no, it's true. You're right. It was a slow transition toward that AWP, and I know they mentioned that Chris was probably going to stay on it, but now we're seeing Oscar getting to it more and more.
I think it'd be nuts not to do that.
Absolutely, I agree. I think Chris has had more than enough time in CS:GO on the op and never really been considered top tier, which says that, you know, he may never get there.
Himself, like sometimes he has a bad day with it, and he's always had to throw it over to Dennis, who could be okay, right? Like he'll never be anything crazy. But the fact that now you've got Oscar, someone who wants to AWP actively. Chris J is still very good rifler, actually. He's one of the few AWPers that can actually have world-class rifling skills as well as being a good AWPer. So that's not a massive deal at all. Then obviously have him to fall back onto for the secondary AWP. That actually works out quite nicely, I think, in terms of a whole overall package.
Yeah, well, the point I want to get to, though, that I was kind of trying to reach was that with Oscar, if he's on the primary op, that gives maybe more consistency, but I want to see Nico stop playing as if he has to play that way now. My kind of hope for Mousesports when Oscar came over was that Nico would have someone else that he could rely on, more dynamic, more versatile in that sense, because if he has to do it every round, he's eventually going to get shut down. There's only so much he can do, and as you say, we already know he likes to go out the mid doors on Dust. If we know it, the other teams know it. Now maybe he doesn't feel as pressured to do that, or it's not even that he feels pressured, he just doesn't do it. He just says, well, I'm not going to do it this round. You do something, Oscar, or it gives him a little more strength, I guess, to open up rounds. Because again, if he continues to play with the mentality that he has to do that when he may not need to as much anymore with Oscar there, I think it's a hindrance as much as anything.
Yeah, if that playstyle was viable, you'd see all the top teams doing that. Kind of putting 4 in one position and having one just, they're not even lurking, actually trying to actively find kills at the start of the round. Like that mid-doors thing sticks out quite a lot since they were running that 3 or 4 times last time we watched them cast. Or last time we casted them, I should say. And it feels like they struggle to actually have the solid defaults and working those executions. That was something for me they were missing. But they've had time. Obviously, they just brought Oscar into the lineup at that point. Maybe they were just calling a little bit looser and trying to see what worked, what didn't. That certainly didn't work in some situations. Key player on Dust2, apparently, it's Chris J. I would say that's probably not true anymore, considering all the changes. You've got Nico and Oscar. I'd say Oscar's probably the key player here. Nico, we talk about him being the entry, the lurker, pretty much every single role. And I think we have got a server sorted here. I've just jumped into one. It's going to have all of G2 on it. And key player for G2 is going to be shocked because he was actually one of the few stepping up on Cash. Probably one of the only ones. Body as well in the first half at least was having some very successful rounds. But I guess you can say no one really was in the second. If you're looking at one round, you can't really put that on one person in particular. It's a pretty shocking team effort as a whole. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's confusing to me in a sense that, you know, we often look at good in-game leaders, at least throughout the previous iterations and even some of the metas in CSGO, not just the previous iterations of Counter-Strike as a whole, but you commonly would say if you have a good in-game leader, you're good on T-sides, but if you have good players, you're good on CT sides because they were smart enough to figure out how to hold their own position. I don't understand how it's not there for G2 in that sense because they're not known for leadership right now, but they are known for individual skill and they're nowhere near on their CT side. It's really strange. Like the players they have should be happening for them. Should be picking up CT rounds. They've got solid anchors for bomb sites. They have got decent all potential as well. Consistent players like RPK that's good for 1 or 2 kills almost every single time. And Shocks and Scream, like that package has been one of the most deadly in 2016. And it just seems this Pro League season, they just haven't been able to get rolling whatsoever. It's been a bit of a horror show. The T-side, that's what's so weird, is they look very comfortable on the T-side. They're making stuff happen all the time, and everyone's stepping up. They're getting the clutches. It looks brilliant, and we'll see whether Smiths can kind of find some form going into this one. Like you said, he will be starting on the CT side here, famed for being a good Dust2 player, probably his best map out of all of them, and we'll see whether he can actually do anything with this as we go into the final map of the evening, Dust2. See everyone joining up now. This seems like the server that will be used. I'm having a few things. I think we'll be okay. I think it'll be all right. This could be the one. Could be the one. You say that every girl you meet. I haven't met any girls. It's actually true. We don't really get that opportunity anymore, do we? I live with you and Tom, and my only interaction is human interaction is when I come to his office. So it's true. We are putting ourselves in a isolated environment. Yeah, and that's a kind way of putting it. When you're working till what, 12:30 every night, then you sleep till like 12, and then you've got to get ready for the cast in 4 hours time. I've lost the energy to even attempt it. Yeah. Especially when, you know, like, what are you going to do? Talk to her for a week and then go to the next hotel? Like, it's not even the next hotel. It's like, we'll be in another couple, we'll be like, I don't want to say, we'll be in another land, another country next week, and then we'll be coming back. This whole cast just dissolved into the biggest self-pity party ever, by the way. What are we doing, Henry? Let's give our heads a shake. It's fine. We're just talking about this very specific topic. We're not saying it's a bad life overall. We're saying if you want a relationship and a social life, don't be a CSGO caster. It's true. It's true. Or a dog, for that matter. Don't be a CSGO caster. No, I'd love to be a dog. Yeah. Sit around and literally just get love and food all day. That would be nice. I'll give you some food tomorrow. Maybe not love. Yeah, definitely not love. Moses wanted a dog as well. More testament to what I was saying. He was about to get a dog, and then his casting career exploded, and poor guy, he still wishes he could have a dog. Yeah. It probably wouldn't be fair on the dog. It's definitely not. Jaden lets me know every single time I go home, there's like a good 3 days of cold shoulder before she finally is like, all right, yeah, I'll be nice again. Right, well, we have got 10 players on the server, I think. We are missing one from Mousesports. It's going to be Speedy, I think. Speedy's on. Nico's on. Chris J's on. Dennis. Oscar, where are you? Come on. Come on. Thoughts on Dust2, Matthew? Can GT bounce back?
Well, that's a very specific question.
It is.
It sounded very open-ended first, thoughts on Dust2, but then you narrowed it down in an interesting way.
I think this is like, for me, this is where G2 can really come into their own. It's a very loose play style, and they have actually got a really sick execute for the A-bomb site. T-side especially, that's where they start. They could have a great, like, 10, 11 rounds like they normally do. It's just now they'll be starting the CT half. If they lose the pistol here, I think it could go into turmoil once again. I think they get the pistol, they get a 3-0, they might be okay. They can just get the 5 or 6 they probably need. They know they can close the game out, but losing the pistol here, they always force them in the second, and they're always limited on that first gun round. That's when it's a bit of a problem. Like the old French squads, they used to be synonymous with winning those second-round force fires. The upgraded pistols seemed like they'd be one of the strongest thing about these, like Envious and G2s and stuff like that. Obviously, different organizations back in the day, but
yeah.
That's what they were so vain for. It's like you couldn't hold them off even if you won the pistol. You could never do it. They were too strong. Doesn't really seem to be the case anymore.
Yeah, no, not at all. I guess to go back to your original question for me, thoughts on Dust2? I think it's still the least aesthetically pleasing map in the game, but then you narrowed it down. Can G2 pull it back? Don't know. I think it's a little bit more of a map that they are comfortable on, but at the same time, Cash is not far off in their map pool. It's not, it's fairly consistent. It's level ground. And when you blow a lead as big as you do, that says there's bigger problems than the map you're playing on. It's cohesion, timings, etc. So, yeah, I'd like to think that they can, but we'll get a very quick indication of it as it appears they'll be starting on the CT side as well. So if they can get, I'm going to say 6 rounds CT, maybe there's a chance, Henry.
A chance. Well, we'll see what it works out for them. There will be a D starting on the CT side. Let's talk about pistol approaches for the CTs. I think the days of the 2 boost up towards short and trying to push, I think those are over. You can see every terrorist team now, if they're playing a default, they're not committing towards middle at all. They're actually stacking and waiting for you to commit around the corner before they actually give you anything to work with there. And then you're sort of forced to fall back. There's someone waiting in lower B for you. I feel like those days probably are over at this point, but we'll see what GT brings to the table. They normally get 5 sets of armor on their CT side pistol. We'll see whether that rings true as we are getting into this one. The final map of this evening will be Dust2. G2 versus Mousesports. G2 trying to bounce back from a pretty horrible outcome, I guess, on Cash after winning 10-5 in the first half and losing 11-1 in the second. But here we go then. 4 sets of armor, body with the smoke and diffuse kit. And we'll see who decides to use that. Mousesports, on the other hand, have actually got smokes, a couple of flashes, and then 3 sets of armor. So towards middle, like I said, no aggressive play towards mid area at least, but Shoxy has pushed up to upper B. That's a lot of info gathered so early on. A lot of info. Interesting
GoTV glitches around at the corner there, bobbing up and down like an Obama bobblehead. Shox is, yeah, like you're saying, a lot of information. He's known to do this. We've seen him push time and time again. You go as far back as Cloud9 qualifying for MLG, and they just got obliterated by that on so many rounds. Shox is holding up as well. As you can see, Nico and Dennis actually holding in towards short. No one's spotting anything just yet. So Shox is just calling out, you don't even need to worry about B. I've got this completely locked down. Checking towards T-Spawn, just making sure everything's okay. They still have a smoke in the hands of Chris J. They'll be splitting A at this point. So RPK, Scream, Smiths on the A side, body backing up and Spawn as well. This could be quite interesting for G2. A lovely setup for them to hold this off. Car's got to get baited in. The problem is that no one's watching Cat. They're all watching long, and they walk out. 2 players sitting there unaware. Scream, he's missed shots, a lot of shots. What's going on with him tonight? And that's why you get vaccinations, kid. Get your shots. Because Scream is not the sick that we normally talk about. That was just god-awful. Yeah, that's a player not looking at him, not jumping, and a pretty simple affair. He just can't actually land the headshot that he's so famous for. Pretty disappointing stuff. That was actually a setup perfect for G2. They actually knew exactly what was going on. They knew it would be an A-sided attack. Shoxy's in lower B, checking up here as well. They knew nothing's middle. They knew nothing's in B tunnels. They know it's going to be long or short. They've got everything covered. And still can barely find a kill there. It's going to be a force buy in the second. Smiths is on the USP, but it's going to be a rifle-heavy setup from Mousesports. RPK finds 1, but it's quickly shut down. This round is going to be over. It's going to be 2 players remaining for the CTs, Body and Shox. Body's actually towards mid-doors, and just Shoxy. Molotov down on the side as well. Burning has to face at this point. There it is. Dennis efficiently takes him down. And now Body, Oscar waiting from the top of the middle, gets taken down by the pistol. To finish things off, we said GT needed this pistol. Just going to bounce back and give him some confidence on the CT half, but potentially not happening here, Matty, as it will be the 3-0 almost guaranteed at this point. If you're unfamiliar with CS economy, I guess. Yeah, if you're joining us from Overwatch this evening, sparing a few minutes to get away. Get away from what exactly? Don't know. If you're joining this lovely game called Counter-Strike, I know it's a newer title in the FPS genre, but yeah, we'll still teach you. You're not too late.
So basically this round, you buy nothing. You can see not a single thing purchased for G2 here. And Oscar will be landing the first scout shot, so that CD player has to go hide in lower B. Decided to face a little bit more, but he will get punished for it. Smith's getting his head ripped off. And RPK, he goes down in similar fashion. Just shots in now on the A site. These rounds are very difficult for the TDs to do anything with, let alone win them. And just Oscar hitting absolutely everything. Grenade, trying to finish one of them off. Doesn't happen, but Scream just left of 18 HP.
We should start a counter for how many times Body gets tagged crossing to B tonight.
Oh, not again.
Yeah. I think he's been tagged once already, if I'm not mistaken. Scream gonna try and do what he can from far this time. I'll excuse some of the misses from that distance as it goes 3-0, but now the guns are drawn. We'll get an AWP, glass cannon on Smith's. French Rambo, perhaps? Does he go aggressive at the doors early? He's known for it, but does he do it first round?
Oscar,
apparently not. He's looking long already.
Sticking with the scout here. It's confident. He's got AK available. He wants to see if he can do anything with the lower sniper rifle here. Not a one-shot kill potential like the AWP pads, so CTs potentially have some sort of advantage going into this one. It's going to be quite a slow default from the terrorists, not committing anything fast here, but they're looking at potentially a long retake, as they have got 3 players outside the doors. RPK, we talk about him being probably one of the most consistent long players in terms of going down with always at least 1 kill, it feels like, in that position, but as of late, the CT half hasn't been great for anyone on G2, so maybe that's not going to be as familiar. There we go. Scout, interesting decision to take that into the first one round.
Flash goes over. Nico peeking out the doors. As always, you touched on this. He tries to force the plays. Not getting over-aggressive this time to peek all the way to CT, though. He's just clearing out that mid position, but now he is looking to go. Shocks, the first to confront this to try and shut it down. Smith's at the corner, has AWP primed and ready if he goes far enough, if Nico exposes himself through that archway. But meanwhile, again, another push from G2 in the B tunnels to get information. It's Body with Shocks, pushing all the way so far into Lower Dark, and Nico tagged at 15 early. This will force him to retreat, and guess what, Body? He catches him at Scream instead. All right, but they're both there, so it won't matter. That's actually well done in that sense to catch Nico out, because he's out in mid. No plan, and if it falls apart, we touched on that as well. There's not much else they can try and accomplish with this. They've got all the information now to G2, and this run has to go their way. If they can't close this, they've got some serious problems. As RPK anchors long, he's very effective there. I'd say he's probably one of the better at that position. Oscar, great shot with the scout, no less. Tagged on RPK, but he may not find these. You know, he does hit Scream. But again, 20 seconds, bomb completely triangulated, and Smith's, it's an AWP shot.
Well, it was a bit of a Hail Mary play from Mousesports, keeping that scout going forward. So, like we said, RPK stepping up in that long position, gets 3 kills after Mousesports tried that like a long retake. Doesn't work out for them, but the good news is for G2, they actually managed to keep all 5 players alive. So that actually helps them. And it's not necessarily going to avoid the reset potential going forward, but it means that you can actually have a nice, healthier buy going into this one. All the grenades, still have the AWP, of course. And we'll see whether they can hold off this very important round from Mousesports here. AWP and Smith still. He's actually on 2 for 3 right now, holding towards long. And he'll come into his own when they start executing towards short. That's when his position becomes so important in that car area.
G2 with Shocks inside of the spawn, standard formation, no one getting overly aggressive this time around toward the B tunnels. And just to make sure they don't, it's Chris J to watch the position. 4 grouping in toward mid as well right now. No one confronting RPK at long this time either. So they're already getting constricted in terms of how much map they're confident in taking, I guess you could say, from Mousesports' side, considering the position and single round that G2 have. Bomb intentionally dropped down by Xbox. This will start to probe out, find the kills, both going through mid this time, Oscar and Nico. The difference being that Oscar has the AWP to lead the charge, better chance to get a kill in return rather than just get tagged up and caught out, as Nico did previously. Flash around the corner, it blinds up Nico, takes a shot toward the door regardless, as Nico was covering off the window so Oscar could do so. And this will just push G2 back inside the B site. Late smoke serves to allow the cross, but Body's found one in the doorway. Can't land the shot. Oscar goes down and Scream walking out. He's got 2. Bomb dropped as well. Chris J may find one to slow things down coming back in from the tunnels, but it's a 1 versus 4, and Scream stepping up largely with 4 kills. Yep, absolutely. After a bit of a shocker in the pistol, he seems to recover here in round number 5. Holds off that B split from Mousesports. It was pretty lackluster, I have to say, from Mouse. Is walking out, not really applying too much pressure there. CT's had plenty to work with. No vision taken away from them. The Scream facing with the AK time and time again, ripping off their head every time he faced. And
There it is. It's going to be G2 finding their second. They've broken the economy of Mousesports as well. Body this time. Open hand, double orb set up for G2. He's looking towards lower B. Gotta... Okay, I thought surely nail that kill, but it doesn't happen. But Incendiary to hold them off. He has got backup from Smiths as well, so he should be okay for now.
Get CSGO'd, Body. Spray through. Desperate times, desperate measures, all of that. Trying to find a kill, but they are 2 men above, so they're not overly desperate. Body finds another kill onto Oscar. Nico with Deagle. He is lethal. He nearly finds the shot to Shox just above his right shoulder. Dennis, meanwhile, does get one onto RPK, so something to write home about. Maybe. If he's still alive to write at the end of this war.
Well, Dennis has got the bomb at this point. If he can plant, that's amazing. So you can see you can jump across these back cars, and it does allow you to get a bit of a funnier angle. The AWPers may not necessarily be pre-aiming that one. They're normally watching the corner tightly. But there it is. Here's G2 now, picking up 3 rounds in a row. And we'll see whether they can continue this form. The money's starting to swell for them as well, but Mousesports certainly can buy going to round number 7. Oscar back on the AWP. What a crazy amount of impact here. Nico, similar sort of story. It's 2 for 5 for him. But this is where they can actually afford to be a little bit more cavalier. The CTs can actually start forcing into more aggressive situations, looking for those picks and shutting down executions. But maybe a B rush coming here. Just 5 players towards B tunnels. Not going to be rushing, but still, this is the tactic we talk about, Matt. I'm almost certain of it. When Nico trying to work that kill by himself. I'm going to jump on his screen myself and see if that's what's going on. He's actually up a B with them, so maybe not. Oh, that's a good one.
This is very lovely. Oscar does it reach him all the way in the corner? Certainly does. Smoke instead. Confirms he's there, yes, okay, and you're right on that, but it allows him, okay, and crossing through it to get away, but not expose himself, as was the plan of the original Flames Throne. So they don't get the shot with the WP into him. They do get a little bit of M4 damage onto him. So Oscar on 56 as a result. Shox gonna play the inner box, the bigger box in the CT spawn, gives him the angle toward the doorway itself, but doesn't see them up at the top of the ramp. That means Scream has to go aggressive, and he only gets the 1. Down he goes. As Speedy and Nico now go to work, but Shox has poked through late. He'll get traded 1 for 1 with Chris, who's still inside of middle. Has timed it correctly, but RPK, he's taken the invitation during all of this to walk out from long. Bomb's down inside of middle. Do they see it? I imagine Smiths did, as shots go either way. It's 25 HP for Nico to go against this, as it is suddenly a rotation from RPK toward the doorway. He's not going to get aggressive. Just cover this off. Make sure Nico, when he grabs the bomb, gets caught out. 36 seconds, though. There's ample opportunity for Nico to find this shot towards CT.
2 versus 1, 30 seconds, and actually look at this kill towards Smiths as well. Very patient stuff. You have to wonder why Smith was facing alone there, but still 1 versus 1. RPK left of the AK-47. Nico's low HP as well, but you can see he's trying to be a bit smarter about this one. Not just going to be committing to the plan straight away. Wants to see if RPK is going to go hunting for the kill, which he will, but he pulls out the knife at the wrong moment, and RPK, easy frag for him in the end, recovers the AWP, and 4 rounds in a row for G2. Actually, you started to look a little bit deadly here. You said if they get about 6, you felt like they could win this. Right now, they're on the precipice of getting 5, because it's going to be another eco here for Mousesports. It's going to be Deagles, PD50s, that's about it. A couple of flashbangs. And we go into round number 8. This is looking, after losing the pistol as well, it's looking a lot more convincing for G2 at least. You have to say that Mousesports, in terms of their approach, very basic stuff, just maybe lurking around the map and not actually executing strategies or even defaults, just walking out of key positions like middle, trying to find their big players, opening things up, and G2 have just been able to exchange.
Long shutdown. I was hoping for it, Henry. I was trying to build up what was an anti-eco potential ace. 4 kills regardless from RPK. Very well done. As they just walk in to a turret. And it'll be a 5th round for G2, but Mousesports, as a result of doing so, will allow this lost round bonus to hit 5 rounds. And perhaps have done us a service as spectators, because we get the weapons drawn sooner. Oh, Body, he's tagged.
Again.
There's 1.
Right. If anyone's wondering what we're talking about, is another Pro League game against Navi and G2, and Body must have got killed or tagged for the doors, what, maybe 7 times, I think it was. Total.
Someone made a video on it, strictly on that.
I saw.
And I think he even tweeted to Guardian at the end of the game saying, I'd like to cross over to B with full health just once, please. Either way, he's tagged this time, 51 HP, but it's on A. They're going to make their initial approach, try and breach toward the site with Molotovs and smokes. Jumping up, though, the Gopher on top of the boxes, down by spawn, does get the information that they're there. So what's the response? It's to call over a 4th member. Rather than playing a 2-1-2 and having the 1B and CT spawn favoring A, they go for a 3-1 with CT included. And they'll let Body just anchor the B site in the event that they rotate back around, but they're not. They're committed. They're inside, and Shocks, he'll go down toward Goose. It's Smith that has to hit something in return and cannot. Speedy finding him. Chris J finding Scream. Bomb going down, and Mousesports just absolutely annihilate them on the way through.
Bit more traditional execution there. Get some short control, go up towards an actual key choke point together instead of walking out middle, and actually doing a very good job. Chris J with the orb this time. He's going to be saving that for the double orb setup, and 3 kills with him. Body. The last player remaining, not dropping a single frag. Mousesports maybe finding a weakness in the G2 defense. He can finish things off, but G2 still have plenty of residual cash. Had some pretty clean rounds. And after losing 5 in a row, Mousesports bouncing back, double orb setup on the T side. And that was much faster and much more efficient from, I guess, I was going to say the German side, but they only have 2 Germans now.
Yeah, it doesn't really ring true anymore, does it? We're seeing more and more a mix of European teams. Which to be, no way.
Body,
no
how many
way.
times?
There's something in his config, I'm convinced. Like, his hitbox has to be twice as wide as anyone else.
Every time.
I think at this point in time, guys, can I play A, please?
Yeah.
I'm sick of playing B. He is pretty good in the B site when he gets there.
Yeah, but he's always got 50 HP. He's got a handicap at the start of every round.
I'm so done. That is unbelievable. 2 rounds in a row. Scream. He'll be the one to get the kill, though. It's Oscar that will go down. And this is what we wanted to see in terms of variations from the AWP on the CT side. Smiths will go toward Catwalk instead, but little jiggle peek toward the corner will reveal his position, and as said, she'll have to fade away from it. Takes a little bit of confidence, potentially, out of Mousesports in trying to take that Catwalk away and set for execution on A. Bomb dropped intentionally. Smoke out on CT. Dennis will add a Molotov into the mix. Meanwhile, though, RPK has won the duel against Chris, who is continuing to try and chase down Smiths on that cat position. So 2 plays onto 4, and a lot of noise being made by Nico to get toward long. Too much noise. Shock's just staring it down with an AWP. That's Bomb. Completely covered off. This is going to be a reset for Mousesports as well, which is a huge problem because we talk about G2 struggling CT sides. If you give them the gift of money and take that which you did possess away, you're going to make it a little bit easier for them than potentially it would have been. So 6-4 already. They've got that round number that I thought would be reasonable for them.
Yeah, Mousesports trying to do what they can towards the long area there, and just the bomb getting dropped. The orb's not really having too much impact. Only finding 1 frag in total. That was on towards Shocks, but it's going to be Mousesports still with money available after the resets alone. It's going to be still an AWP in the hands of Oscar here, and Chris J back on towards the rod of the AK-47. Not again, Matt.
Cross. When we switch to him, we just hear a bullet hit the wall. I'm like, oh my God. Look how much more hesitant he was across that time. Regardless, with no damage done, it's still going to be Mousesports to get the opening kills. Chris J with 2, blinded up Smiths. He does get Nico as his vision slowly restores, goes for more, and it's Speedy he'll find, but Chris comes around and completes the hat trick, using his teammate as the meat, the bait, but it is going to be Oscar. The second man finally for Mousesports to get a kill, the 4th in total they've got on this round. He's gone down since. It's on to Scream, 1 versus 2.
Still has some footing into this round as the bomb has only just been planted. 2 players with 1 bullet potential from this M4, which we know he can be very accurate with indeed. They're both going to be turtling up on the A side as well. 1 player to face, that's Chris J, gets his head completely ripped off. 1 versus 1 now. Dennis desperately trying to cower on this side. Doesn't want to give anything away, but Scream, he can smell him on the side, but apparently Dennis catches him out, faces the exact right time, and he's going to be picking up the AWP as well. And the round saved for Mousesports there. I thought Scream had that one tied up, but he's just getting closer and closer to the bomb site.
And I mentioned the reset, it was, but the efficiency of the previous round allowed them to force again. You can still see how in tatters their money really is. So even in this round, they're going to be struggling to get guns out. And there's just enough to force in return for G2, who know the situation. So this is very much a break potential either side. Body, congratulations, my friend. You've made it to B now successfully 2 rounds in a row.
Well, not a great buy for either side here. You can see a UMP and a Tech 9 in the hands of Mousesports. They will be sending 5 players towards the B tunnels once again. It's probably a good call. They know it's not going to be a possibility, but Body's waiting for them. Fully blind, he will be taken down as well. But Scream lines them up, gets 2. It's going to be an equal exchange for now. 3 versus 3. CT's rotating in. 1 going towards T-spawn as well. There's plenty of utility available for the terrorists. So Molotovs towards the window traditionally, smokes at the door, and you have someone covering towards tunnels. That's actually going to be Dennis for now, as he listens out for T-spawn, but shocks everything's up at the 5-7. Headshot gets a double, in fact. Now it leaves us on to Dennis, and they know exactly where he is.
Dennis, though, does know exactly where Shocks is. It's such a hard shot. Yeah, exactly. Not only do you have just your head showing, you get to go back and forth. You hold him off. The defuse already coming in. 6-6. Or rather, take that back. Sorry, 7-5. Had it backwards as we snapped to the replay, and my mind couldn't keep it all stored in one place. It gets a little cluttered sometimes, Henry.
It does.
People talk to me in my head.
7-5. Are they from a certain video game?
No, but right now you'd expect that they might be.
Yes. I think you probably imagine yourself to be in that world sometimes.
I wish. It sounds so much nicer than this one.
On that note, let's get back into this. It's going to be round number 13. It will be an eco this time for Mousesports. Couldn't find too much with that simple B execution. They were so good at those simple A takes of the smoked and flashbangs. I'd like to see more of that, but this time they do manage to pick up an opening kill. It's going to be Oscar picking up the rifle here, and Scream has gone down. He was aggressive, but maybe his teammate alone towards the B side. See a rotation from Shocks and towards CT spawn, and it will be an A attack this time. They have got a couple of flashes. This could be good. Smith's on the A side. If he gets flashbangs coming towards him, misses that first shot, there's a chance, and the run boost is coming.
See if they nail it. Pickups are annoying. I feel bad for you. Okay, that... like how Oscar's like, I'll just stay on your head. It's fine. Maybe you can run boost me toward mid where Shocks is coming. And he gets there. That is a clever peek so fast. Drops bomb, gets away. He's isolated himself behind the box. They can't double peek him.
Oh, no.
He gets two and Body shows up to bail him out. That is the most awkward exchange.
Wow. So they have a huge advantage there. They've got the CTs on the ropes in terms of the man pick at the start and pushing up towards it on the short area, and then Shoxy with the perfect flank coming in, gets on towards Xbox, finds that first shot, and this the timing from Body coming in lower B as well. It's so perfect. Just as Shox makes himself unhittable as he's dancing around the mid doors. Shox and Body comes in and sprays them all down. So lovely stuff. It's going to be 8-5 there, and another long retake from RPK by himself this time, pushing through the smoke. Dennis gets the opening frag. 5-4, and Shocks is still there with the AWP this time. A double up setup for the French side.
Double up setup again. Shocks and Smith's not Body this time. Scream all the way through T-spawn. This could be actually quite good because they're not getting anywhere long. And even if they want to go back and try and evaluate middle, they've got to go by that T-spawn position that Scream is soon going to occupy. Good shot from Shocks. He'll take down Oscar to start it off. 4 plays to 4 as a result of this. And even though the first pick did go Mousesports' way, you can see it on X-Ray. Scream's just waiting for them to come back the other direction. Nico, he finds him and takes him down. So double op stays up, but they've only got the 1M4 in the hands of Body. He's over at B. Smith's, another shot missed. Molotov on Shock, 6 HP. He's found by Chris J, but Smith's, he's managed to get one bomb down, just has to hold the angle, can't find the second shot to follow up. AKs, all 3 in hand right now for Mousesports. But Dennis will drop down, grab bomb, and then AWP. Swap it over, try and change things up and catch them off guard, potentially G2. Speaking of caught off guard, it's Body, but he gets the gun redrawn. Nico goes down, and it serves to a dead even situation. 2 plays to 2. 35 seconds left up toward the A side, and Smith's, he needs to hit them now more than ever. Spots the first player. Likes to wait for a better position, better peek, potentially, and he does have Speedy taken down. Jumps back up for a second one as well. Now he's coming to live on Dust2.
Yeah, we said he would. And this time it's going to be 3 kills after RPK went all in towards long by himself. He gets back up from his teammates, a double up setup, paying dividends for G2. As the round number 15 comes in, there's no money available for Mousesports. So we talked about this at the beginning, Matt. G2 famed for being very good on the T side on Dust2, and that's being lackluster every single time, not just in Dust2, the CT halves across the board so far from what we've seen in this online season. But they seem to be posting very decent numbers indeed here on the second map of the evening. It's going to be 9 rounds, potentially 10, considering Mousesports have pistols across the board for 3 Deagles, 2 Tech 9s, and some utility. I guess a Beast player is probably the first port of call here for Mousesports, as Shoxy does hear something towards middle. Smoke on Xbox, so potential A split considering the setup now.
Oh, okay. Minor dink. It must have gone through the edge of the door, but when you hear that noise, you always have a little skip in your heart to think you might have just cost yourself. Either way, it Scream left on 88 HP as a result. Chris J, 72. And Nico will get flamed away from the mid doors. Smith has to go large and in charge. Once more, missing the shot up close, and Speedy's got him. Another pivotal moment. All right, I can't call him out too much. He did have an excellent round in the last, but missing the shot there, and they swarm him, they overwhelm him. It's RPK that has to make up for it, rotating back in from long with the rifle, but that's gonna give Nico a chance to try and walk in, catch them off. Great Deagle shot, the Body. All other responsibilities done, boxes checked off, and it's a 10-5 scoreline again for G2.
Well, they've done it, and it's actually pretty convincing half, you have to say. Actually started off a little bit quiet and then getting into it. Mousesports, equal game to kick things off, and then G2 kept grinding away. The double orb setup seemed to be working out very nicely for them indeed. Hit and miss, but towards the end, G2 ran away with it. So they've actually set themselves up a real nice foundation here going into the second half. We know they're very good on the T side. It's really they come into their own. Lots of executions, lots of aggressive plays. Scream seems to be hitting shots, and Smith's arrived as well. So hopefully we can see them take this one. That sounds biased, but I'd like to see them come into some sort of form here, you know.
Well, we did say if they could have a decent CT side, there would be a chance. CT side is done. We'll swap it over for halftime number 2, but not before we catch our breaths. We'll be right back. Welcome back once more as we conclude the evening, the final half of what has been an excellent night, another good night, the 9th night of ESL Pro League Season 4. It's G2 and Mousesports in their second of 2 maps. Mousesports did take the first on an excellent comeback, but CT side out of the way, it's G2 with a great lead here. 10-5 is where we sit right now, Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first time we've seen G2 have a big lead on the City half, probably all this season in the 9 days you talked about. So hopefully they can actually convert this to a victory just to kind of show them it wasn't a one-off half, that they can actually convert this into a T-side success as well, which I think they're more than capable of. Their T-side, as discussed before in the break, very good at executing. They kind of defined how that execution should be. I think a lot of teams have copied how they actually do it. It's so strong. But we go into the pistol now. G2, 3 sets of armor. Smiths with the Tech 9 and Scream, of course. He did it so many times. Scream opening up that B side, but I think Mousesports will be aware of it. I would love to see him just get that 1 dig once again. Let's see if he can do it.
Headshot nearly goes into the back of Smiths from Scream with the deagle. Well, there you go. It's aggressive. It's in the site already. And G2, RPK, he's been showing form on pistols as of late, I have to say, which is great to see from G2 because they need pistols. We talked about their influence, and specifically on halves when they struggle, it's body to close it out. They line up, and it's a double headshot from the Glock. It's almost flawless from G2 as they walk into the B site. 11-5 now, and again, T side. Good start. We might be done quicker than we would have expected here.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the same pistol they've run every single time we watch them play Dust2 here. Scream at the deagle, a couple of Tech 9s, some Glocks. They have 1 smoke when they get in the side as well to deny the retake. And you'd think something so simple shouldn't be so effective, but they wait for there's not a rush, right? They're waiting for the initial utility to be used, and the CT's facing for the platform. They've got 5 terrorists looking at them. They're obviously going to be taken down if they face too much there, and this time it's GT prevailing with not a single frag drop. But Mousesports, interesting enough, not fully forcing into this one. Just 1 set of body armor purchase for Nico, and it is an ace stack for the CT, so this could get interesting. And once again, towards long, this is where GT will be trying to get the majority of their frags. But Shoxy towards Motor gets a rotating Dennis, and now they have got the advantage as well. They'll probably call to fall back after spotting so many players on that A side. Smith's got control of middle. Let's get in B tunnels and let's get towards B together. Good call. And Shoxy holding the perimeter in no man's land in middle.
Shox is behind the door, waiting. Already through middle, is going to catch off Oscar with the Mach 10, and Smoke follow up and won't be able to do much. That is one of the most chaotic sounds in the world when there's two of them firing together, isn't it? It sounds like a V8 engine where the cylinders are slightly out of timing. Or the header's cracked. It's just so uneven and rough sounding. Body, he'll drop down and take out Speedy. It's going to be 12-5 and another great round. AK kept alive. Smith does go down, but what does he go for? Potentially, if I were them right now, if you want to bring out an AK, potentially drop him over one of the SMGs, let him build up the cash, and have someone else, potentially Shox, buy it out, or have Shox drop it. I guess you could do as well later on.
They bought another Mach 10 by the looks of things. So they're going to have that one AK. And this could be interesting going forward, but I think Mousesports just want to have that stronger bar. Oh, look at this.
Double? Oh, he didn't make it.
That could have been fun. But 5 USPs, Mousesports is trying to make sure they didn't get body armor. That's all really on one player, I think it was Nico. They're just trying to make sure they had enough to work with going into the first gun round. That's actually quite important. If there are this amount of SMGs carried across into the next round, they'll have head armor to at least negate those. So it could be quite an interesting factor, as there will be one player remaining. Who's that? It's going to be Speedy. Trying to do what he can with the USP. Probably will get a skill, you know. Yeah, there it is. Shox goes down. So that's going to be another AK actually coming into the next round. So actually, okay, and another. So at least 3 AKs come into the next round. Actually, probably benefits G2 a little bit, you know, just the fact that they are going to have heavier firepower in terms of the rifle instead of 3 SMGs or 4 SMGs, I think it was. All purchased by Smiths as well, so just one. Well, here we go then. The all-important first gun round. If G2 pick this up, it'll be 14-5, and then horrible money situation for Mousesports. So this is a very crucial round for them. Let's see what they can do with it. Oscar on the AWP, of course. And we'll see whether he actually decides to face. Going to be watching long. The standard setup for Mousesports for now. Dennis and Chris J patrolling B, and a fast mid player, Shoxy, just fearless towards middle, spawning towards CT spawn.
Shox leaves an opening, walks out, gets the shot on Dennis, though. That's lovely. To avoid the damage as well from CT, but Nico's still there. Scream will get him late with the UMP, but he's found body. As he walks toward the B site, it's Oscar trying to fire back through and catch anyone who dares still be in the open. But I dare say, writing on the wall, round over. They'll have to hold on to the AWP and the M4, try and carry it over for what will be the 5th round of the second half, and already it's stacking up in G2's favor as they'll collect the first 4 rather. Convincingly, again here, they've got a 2-man advantage. They'll keep 4 players alive, build up the bank for the long run, the long haul, and I think at this point as well, if I'm not mistaken, I just bring it up here. Okay, so they've got one, well, now they do have 2 rounds in hand, essentially, at this point in time. Yeah. RBK and Smith's the only ones who really don't.
They know if they find these last too many players, this is pretty much game over. If an AWP is saved in the hands of someone like Oscar, that makes it a little bit more complicated. This is a nice boost from Speedy. If he gets flashed out, the problem. He should be able to pick up his first kill, maybe the second as well. There it is, yeah. Well, hold on to. And this makes things at least viable for this round. I think Mousesports have no option but to buy into this. A pause comes in. I assume this will be tactical at this stage. They have a very interesting decision to make. They're going to have to force, I think. I think that goes without saying. So, yeah, Mousesports tactical pause. Open one hand of Oscar, and then Speedy with the M4. They can probably force up. Speedy can drop an M4. And Oscar could do the same, just about equal 3,100. So there he goes. So they're balancing things out now. This is like, they're doing all the maths basically. They're working out what's the most efficient way to buy into this crucial round. Take the pauses, make sure they're getting the most bang for their buck. Exchanges have been made. But G2 looking to close things out right here, right now. They know the money's not great for Mousesports, but saving the AWP, like I said. And someone like Oscar, that could be enough.
So we'll allow them the moment to contemplate the best course of action back into this game, if there is one. Not many kills on that Mousesports side, is there? Chris J leads the way. 15 kills for him, but everyone else single digits, despite that we're on the 19th round.
The final buy is coming, I should say.
Did I just hear a phone? Oh, it sounds like the dial tone ringing. Must be a static connection somewhere.
It's like a fax machine. Maybe a fax is coming in.
Rushley, is that you?
Well then, AWP for Oscar. Chris J with the M4. Same for Dennis. There is a UMP in the hands of Nico. You probably want to give someone over his caliber the rifle, but you know, we'll see what happens with that. There's tons of money available for G2. So even if they don't win this round, they have a successful one. They get that's like a 1v1. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how Mousesports can actually bounce back from this. Full investment into this, of course. The unpause comes in. G2, as I mentioned, if they win this one, it's going to be all sorts of trouble for the CTs coming back. But here we go. Double orb set up on the T side.
Shocks. Ooh, nearly does get a tag.
Okay.
Okay, exactly. Goes back forward. Oscar's already got it lined up, so all he did is give up the first shot and the angle. They're going to go on the B site regardless. Chris goes down. Good entrance from Scream. Very good entrance, because now this pulls back what was lost in that initial exchange at mid. Dennis forced out of the site. He's going to try and go back. That's terribly thrown. I can be Twitch chat. Watch this. NA flash. As the smoke out of the door, Nico's going to try and push through it. There's 3 people in front of him. We see it. He doesn't. He'll find it, though, as the UMP gets the headshot. Rather, not the headshot. Next shot on RPK. Whatever it is, it's a kill. It's effective. But they've still got to do a lot more than that to take the site back. This is so chaotic. And Nico, he may be the victor in all of it. He does get a kill on Smiths, but that's all he'll find. Body. He trades it immediately back. There's still full HP, though, on Speedy and Oscar. And they are in the B tunnels. I think they're aware of this, though. Scream, he's still considering the doorway, but a flashing, quick check. Don't leave your back exposed in that position when you have no idea where they are. They now look. AWP goes down. That's the hard job done, but 6 HP. Body's just going to book it to the A site.
Well, this is where the mind games begin. Obviously, the correct forward would be, yeah, he's going definitely towards A, but Body, he's outplayed by Speedy, very aware, checking every possibility. And everybody overthinking that situation. 6 HP, trying to catch him out as he would be rotating potentially there, but actually gets caught in his own game. But like I said, if it comes down to a 1v1 like it just did, the money still is going to be a trouble for Mousesports. They managed to salvage an orb, but the reinvestment for the rest of the team, it's going to be difficult for them to get AKs, I mean, well, M4s, as you say, across the board. We'll see what they do manage to get. So there's a Famous, lacking kits, no incendiaries. Chris J with nothing at all in terms of utility. So Oscar, once again, he was good for the first pick in the previous round. Can he replicate the success? As it's another long take from G2. Smokes have failed, though, horribly. So does give a little bit more vision than they're used to, CTs.
Boost up at elevator. To the penthouse for Oscar. Unfortunately, there's no party just yet. He's not invited to the penthouse. Now he's got his entrance. As it's going to be Shocks that goes down. Smiths. He's just tempting fate with this AK, trying to clear out the corner. Does push them back. Flash as well, nearly catching the dropping CT as Oscar's going to bring his AWP back out. Kenny has style on that wall. We saw him try that with Envious multiple times last week. Doesn't find the shot. This forces 2 players down towards CT, which has a massive opening, but there's no smokes, which therefore can actually still be an opportunity for Oscar to find a shot. You would have thought 2 players in CT means they almost give up and concede to the retake. They're going to throw a bomb to try and make that the case, but Smith is so scared. It's okay, little boy. You'll be okay. I believe in you.
What's that Molotov going to do?
That you're trying to use the incandescence to blind the vision, I guess.
I guess it's kind of an interesting idea.
I guess
out for now.
Take no chances, but 14-6. They've got bomb down. There's still 5 players alive from Mousesports who are waiting for that bomb plant as well.
Well, then the retake begins. They've got an HE to work with. Still the man advantage, and they have got an AWP as well against 4 AKs out of G2. 2 of them turtling up towards Goose. Going to be a very important round. Full reset for Mousesports so they don't win it.
First shot, Oscar. Successful, but RPK and Body. They'll pull it back, and Body doubly so. Takes down Speedy. He's got another. It's Dennis, but Chris Jane here. Now in a one-on-one, and Body. He's got positional control. He turns back. It's another 4K for him. He's been great at the clutches on T-side.
Absolutely has. T-side has been tremendous for Body throughout this evening on Cash. Although he didn't win the game, his T-side efforts were noted throughout the series. Very impressive stuff from him, and wins another 1v1 and hosts some very good numbers as well. 15-6 now. Mousesports, like I said, that was a crucial round for them. And Smiths, he finds Oscar, who's trying to heroically find that first pick with the scout at the start of the round. Not meant to be this time. Now it's up to Chris J and 3 Deagles as they are aggressively pushing off. This should be over now. It's unimaginable to think they can actually do anything with the Deagles. The Scream finds another headshot. 5 versus 3. The scout in hand of Chris J. Pretty much the last line of defense if there's going to be any hope of winning this round.
RPK waiting patiently. We'll find Dennis in a peculiar position. Not something you would commonly look at, but Chris scout. Ooh, that was almost dead on the head, you know. As Scream will get the shot in. responds to it, though. The mist coming through, and Speedy gets a deal, at least adding something, some flavor in our mouths, but we'll only salivate for so long as Body will get the final kill, appropriately so. I think he's had an excellent evening, even if they only pick up the one map. But it is one map, and again, it's a recovery season for them. They had a very slow start. So it's great to see that they're still kind of grinding away in that sense.
Yeah, much better result there for G2. Dust2, we know it's one of their best maps in the pool. This time the CT side a lot more convincing, and the T side business as usual. That's what you come to expect from GT on the T side. So 2 very different results in both series tonight, actually. In the first game, we saw VP actually...
I think VP's traded a map every single night, haven't they?
Yeah, it feels like 1-1 is pretty much part of the course at the moment. But I think that's enough from us, Matthew. Why don't we throw it over?
Certainly is. I'm out. I'm done. I am certainly done.
And on that note, Mitch, take it away.
It's always hard to know who's throwing on that caster desk sometimes.
Well, who's the pitcher and who's the catcher?
Yeah. Well, that was sulphurous there as well. Okay, so onto Dust2 there as well. G2, you talked about them earlier on in the game as well. Expected more from them here. Did you expect them to have such a solid-looking CT side here?
Definitely not. I mean, not looking how they played recently Pro League, I wouldn't expect them to get 10 rounds. I expected them to, play better than they did on Cash. But they, you see why Dust2 is their strongest map. It's where Smith is in his element. It's his favorite map as well. We saw Scream in that, second gun round, pretty much getting the 4 headshots when Mousesports tried the mid to B split, and already there you could get a sense, all right, this is not going to be, a weak CT side for G2.
Yeah, and credit elsewhere, Body, again, this guy coming up with the big kills. A lot of it came into the T side, I guess, a couple of the clutches really showing through, but everyone from G2 individually having a far greater impact throughout this one. RPK having a couple of moments on long throughout it. And their CT side was far more robust. It's a huge buffer for them to have in comparison to their previous games where they seem, completely a shambles. But to flip the switch as well, Mousesports seemed to lack a lot of the punch that they came in with on the first map.
Well, yeah, definitely a much softer performance from these guys here on that map. We saw some individual moments there as well, especially from Oscar and Nico yet again. Not enough, though, this time, interestingly enough. So that's the way that series is going to go. It's going to be 16-10 in favour of G2 Esports. That was the score, and the score is also an app you can get on your iPhone and on your Android device. I've actually preempted the production crew here as well. They don't even have a lower third ready for it. But guys, realistically, do jump and grab that one as well, because we've got NA matches coming on later tonight. And if you're from Europe, you're probably going to be having a sleep. If you do want to keep up to date with the scores and keep your CSGO brain ticking over like a well-oiled machine, that is definitely the good way to keep it nice and lubricated. But let's have a look now over the rest of the night. Already, we've obviously had 4 matches just with that last one to finish things off. But to start things off, guys, it was an interesting affair to say the very least here. I mean, both teams trading maps tonight, but yeah, 7-16 and 16-7 between Dignitas and Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, we got a glimpse of the plow on the first map there, Dust2. Virtus.Pro got off to a phenomenal start. Dignitas just looked like they were reeling almost, and then Dig kind of came into their own on the second map there on Mirage. You started to see the classic things that people like to see, and Virtus.Pro just didn't quite have enough answers to it just yet.
And we did see a little bit of an error there as well. It was 16-10, the final score between Mousesports and G2.
Dun, dun, dun.
But let's have a look at what's coming up later as well. Still plenty of matches going to be coming thick and fast towards us now as well. This is what's going to be happening on the NA region, of course, later today. Renegades up against SK in those first 2. Got a couple Dust2 and Nuke Fest there as well.
I like how symmetrical it looks as well. It's like, it's nice.
It's quite nice, yeah. Obviously, Aussie teams as well there, of course. Winter Fox recently picked up in the Australian region. Imagine, who was previously with Immunity, sort of being the core of that roster. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of start to perform as well. Have a look at the standings after tonight, because we definitely raised a few questions about where G2 would be sitting. And, well, not bad, guys, but still 8 losses there. Can't be a great sign for them.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, they really need to step up. We were kind of referencing it that probably 8 is the maximum number of losses you could afford if you want to have a chance at qualifying for the finals. And G2 is already at that number with 8 games, no? 10 games still to play. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be hard getting through the rest of the league without a single loss.
Yeah, not ideal. You can see Mousesports at 3-3, obviously not having played as many games as some of their counterparts in the league, so a chance for them to still break into that top echelon there. Isn't it more than 10 games?
12 games.
Yeah.
12 games. 13
you
teams.
Took the risk.
13 games, 2 times 26, minus 14 equals 10.
You're a brave man. I'm not even considering. I'll just blindly agree with whatever you say.
Mass on stream's a thing, guys. But tomorrow, it's going to be an interesting little battle. Here's going to be Mini Na'Vi against Big Na'Vi on the maps you kind of like to see them on. Customs here for both of them is going to be trained then over towards Overpass, which we just haven't seen much of at all this season so far. And then Mousesports versus NIP. Yanko, have you got a pick of the night for those matches?
Oh, definitely the Score Esports hot match of the week. No, I mean, but something's weird. I remember, I think one of the Mouse players tweeted out a couple of days ago that they are going to play 2 times Cash against NIP, but maybe they were mistaken because we just saw that they were going to play Cobble and Cash. So not a good pool for Mouse, to be honest.
And Michael being in NIP, first time we're going to get to see that being played out, I'm pretty sure. So that's going to be pretty exciting, him coming into. So Doppelin did a great job. I think he wasn't, you know, a high flyer. I don't think you could say, you know, he went above and, you know, beyond everyone else, but he certainly did very well for himself. He held his own. But I know a lot of the people out there are sitting there, you know, very happy to see this player coming back towards the lineup. There'd be a lot to be said about it, you know, how he fit in personality-wise with the team. Certainly a big point to pull up. But again, a lot to be seen on that one. Very exciting match.
We also get to see Na'Vi after that intense boot camp with SK back in the saddle. I mean, they have a 4-0 scoreline, so if they manage to get a 2 against Flipside, they're sailing.
Yep.
That's right. That will be an interesting matchup as well, especially because of how the teams understand each other and how they all play around them. Flipside definitely need a win here as well, but Na'Vi are unlikely to give up any more games. Guys, let's wrap things up for tonight. We can go our separate ways and just forget all of this ever happened, but maybe just the results can stick in your head, or you can look at the table. That's also fine. It's been a pleasure to have you with us tonight. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. for our last match day of the week. You already saw the matches coming up. They're going to be pretty darn good. And later on, if you are a EU viewer or you're tuning in from NA, stay tuned, of course, because the NA Pro League is coming up just around the corner. But for that, we are done. So good night. We'll see you tomorrow.